Today's scriptures are from Isaiah 11, 1 through 10. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. The Spirit of the Lord will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and of understanding, the Spirit of counsel and of might, the Spirit of the knowledge and fear of the Lord. And he will delight in the fear of the Lord. He will not judge by what he sees with his eyes, or decide by what he hears with his ears, but with righteousness he will judge the needy. With justice he will give decisions for the poor of the earth. He will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and the breath of his lips will slay the wicked. Righteousness will be his belt, and faithfulness the sash around his waist. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, and the calf, the lion, and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear, their young will lie down together. The lion will eat straw with the ox, the infant will play near the cobra's den, and the young child will put its hand into the viper's nest, and neither will harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. In that day, the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the peoples. The nations will rally to him, and his resting place will be glorious. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
I'm going to preach here today because I don't want to step on the cookies. They are beautiful. Thank you for you who made those cookies and who send those cookies. You know, I was, in my mind, when we were praying for these cookies, I was picturing the people that I've met at the Morris County Correctional Facility, the guards, those who are inmates, and I know that will make a difference in people's lives, to know that someone thought about them enough to make homemade cookies. Thank you. Today is the second Sunday in Advent when we light the candle of peace, and peace seems to be something that we all long for, and yet it is something that is at times elusive. Whatever peace human beings experience, I believe comes from God. Whether they are Christians or not, whether they are of any faith tradition or not, peace comes from God, who delights when we are at peace. Because when we are at peace within, we are not afraid. When we are at peace within, we are open to be present to one another and to any person or situation to which we are led by the Spirit. I came across a list in no particular order of signs of inner peace. And I resonated with this list, and I thought, oh, this is helpful for us as followers of Jesus to kind of to take our temperature, if you will, to take our spiritual temperature and see how we're doing with experiencing inner peace. Here are signs of inner peace. Frequent and genuine smiling. Frequent and overwhelming episodes of appreciation. Loss of interest in judging other people in their actions. Loss of ability or need to worry. Doesn't that sound good? Tendency to act based on hope rather than fear. Ability to enjoy every moment. Openness to give and receive love. How are we doing? We may be going through seasons of our life where this seems like a distant reality, and we can be good and faithful followers of Jesus and not be experiencing some inner peace, but this is God's hope for us. And if we're in a place where we can't experience any of this, just don't lay foundations there. It's a temporary spot, and God is always longing to lead us to a more peace-filled place. This vision of God can be seen throughout the scriptures, but it can certainly be seen in the Hebrew scriptures of Isaiah. And remember that in this historical context, Judah is surrounded by warring nations who do not have Judah's best interest in mind. The northern kingdom, the kingdom in Syria, the kingdom to the south of Judah in Egypt, they were all saying, if you don't side with us, Assyria is going to come in and wipe you off the face of the earth. Kind of hard to have inner peace when that's the news of the day. And it is into that context that Isaiah speaks a word that must have confounded the people of the time, but also a word that says there's another way than this. There's a more peaceful way than this. And he describes these beautiful images. A shoot shall come out of the stump of Jesse. Now, Jesse was the father of David. And Christians, we believe that there is a lineage from David all the way down through to Jesus. And this is an image of death and resurrection. Out of a stump, that a tree that has been cut off, there will be a shoot that comes out of it with growth that will bear fruit. So just because something looks dead and gone doesn't mean that God can't bring something good out of it. And a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. And then Isaiah paints this beautiful picture. Some of you can picture it in your head, the peaceable kingdom. It's been painted by many people in many eras. He writes, the wolf shall live with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. It goes on, and I hope you will read this afternoon, or even tonight at the Advent gathering at our house. We'll read this again because it is such an important message for us to receive from God, who says, I want you to experience peace. I know who the wolves are in your lives. I know who the wolves are in your geopolitics. But God has a deeper vision of peace than we do. Do you remember the Native American story about a grandchild asking a grandfather, Grandfather, I have struggles within. And the grandfather says, tell me. The grandchild says, there are two wolves within me. I feel like there are two wolves. One is fearful and angry, and the other is loving and trusting. And they are at war with one another within me. Grandfather, what shall I do? Which one will win? And the grandfather says, the one that you feed. It's a beautiful image of which wolves within us will we feed? The fearful, angry one, the trusting, loving one. Isaiah says, the wolf and the lamb shall lie down together, shall dwell with one another, shall be at peace with one another. I close with this reflection. When we are honest and take into account all of the psychological wisdom that is out there that was not available to people up until relatively recently in the history of humankind, we have within us wolves, and we have within us lambs. We have the ability to be fearful and angry, and we have the ability to be trusting and loving, and all of that is within us. And the hope in following Jesus is that we might mature to feed that part of ourselves that thrives with love and trust. I want to read something briefly from Unfolding Light. God, there are wolves and lambs in me, kind spirits and angry ones. Make gentle my bitter wolves and defend the lambs of mercy. Heal the wounds that feed my rage and give courage to my love. Grant that the wolf renounce its appetites, the lamb surmount its fears. May the Christ child lead wolf and lamb together, that I may be whole and all of me welcomed. May I find joy in what is strong and gentle, and in the power of tenderness and gratitude for creatures who all need each other. Christ child, lead me to a place of peace. When we're in the first half of our spiritual lives, trying to be righteous, we want to kill the wolf within us. But in the second half of our spiritual lives, and that is not contingent upon age, we recognize that we need to hold the wolves and the lambs within us together and acknowledge them in us and in others. And to pray that God would bring us peace with that company, peace with those entities, peace with those emotions, peace with those experiences that are well-earned experiences, so that the wolf and the lamb can live together, and we can be in the flow of God's love and God's peace. As the music begins to play, and this music is from Yo-Yo Ma, I invite you to write your prayers for peace on these doves. If you need doves, one of the ushers will bring you some. If you need a pencil, someone will bring you one. And then we'll go over to both of these trees, and we'll hang these doves on the tree as our prayer, so that the prayer can be shared. And I know last year, people would come into the sanctuary during the week and just stand in front of these trees and pray for the peace that so many of us have articulated in these doves. May God bless us as we write, as we pray, as we come together to share our prayers and decorate this sanctuary with our prayers.